Welcome back to our channel. Let's talk about the odd couple living inside your head. You know, you might think you're one single person making calm, rational decisions, but the reality is way messier. It's more like a chaotic two-person startup is running the show, and one of those employees does pretty much all the work while the other, well, let's just say the other one is a genius who would much rather be napping.
Okay, let's just jump right in with this. You see this happening. What's your first thought? Your brain probably didn't weigh the evidence, did it? Nah. It jumped straight to a conclusion. You probably pictured the awkward roommate, the terrible small talk, anything to make sorting plastic number 5 seem like a good time. That instant judgment, that wasn't you, the CEO, making a smart call. That was your brain's hyperactive intern just blurting out an answer. See, that's because your brain isn't this one single unified thing. It's actually run by two totally different characters. Let's think of them as the co-founders of a little company called You Incorporated. And let me tell you, their management styles could not be more different. So on one side, you've got the hyperactive intern. We'll call it System 1. It's super fast, it's intuitive, it runs on gut feelings, and it is always on. This is the part of your brain handling about 98% of your day. Then you've got the lazy manager, or System 2. This is the brilliant analytical mind that can solve super complex problems, but you basically have to drag it out of bed to do any work. It's slow, it takes a ton of energy, and honestly, it would much rather just let the intern handle everything.
And man, do we rely on this intern. System 1 is in charge of all the stuff that's just automatic, knowing that 2 plus 2 is 4, finishing the phrase salt and pepper, ducking when a frisbee comes flying at your head. It's all effortless. It's the autopilot that lets us get through the day. It's fast, it's efficient, and most of the time, it's right. Most of the time. Now, let's look at what's on the manager's to-do list. Yikes. This is the hard stuff. Can you feel your brain kind of tensing up just looking at this? That's the feeling of your lazy manager being forced to get up and actually do some work. These things require focus and logic and a whole lot of self-control. This is deliberate, effortful thinking, and your brain will avoid it like the plague if it can. And here's where the problems start. Because our little intern, System 1, is moving so fast and trying to be helpful, it cuts corners. It uses these simple rules of thumb to make quick judgments. And while that's super efficient, it often leads to some predictable and kind of hilarious mistakes. Let's call them brain glitches. Let's try one right now. Quick, don't overthink it, just a gut reaction. Is the average cost of a wedding in the US more or less than $95,000? Okay, now come up with your own estimate. You got a number in your head? All right, hold on to it. The actual average is closer to $35,000. Now, be honest with me. Was your guess anywhere close to that? Or was it way, way up there in the 50s, 60s, or even higher? If it was, congratulations, you've just been tricked by your own brain. This is called the anchoring effect. That first number I gave you, that 95 grand, it acted like a giant, heavy anchor. Your brain grabbed onto it, and even though you probably knew it was too high, it dragged your own guess way, way up. This happens all the time in real life, from buying a car to negotiating a salary. That first number on the table, it matters a lot. All right, let's do another glitch. Picture this. You're packing for a nice, relaxing beach vacation. In the back of your mind, what are you really more worried about? I mean, our brain just loves to play those dramatic scenes from shark movies on a loop. But the reality? Just look at this. You are thousands, millions probably, of times more likely to have your trip ruined by a boring old, painful sunburn. So why is our brain so obsessed with a shark? It's because of something called the availability heuristic. Remember, System 1 is lazy. It does not check statistics. Its rule is super simple. If I can think of an example easily, it must be common. Shark attacks are vivid, they're dramatic, they're all over the news. Forgetting sunscreen? Not so exciting. So our brain makes this huge mistake. It confuses easy to remember with likely to happen. Okay, last glitch, and this one's my favorite. You see this guy. The beard, the jeans, the smoothie, it all paints a very specific picture, right? Your brain immediately starts telling a story. So what does your gut say? Is he an accountant, or is he an artisanal pickle maker from Brooklyn? I am willing to bet your hyperactive intern practically shouted pickle maker. But hang on, let's think about this for a second. For every one artisanal pickle maker, how many thousands and thousands of accountants are there in the country? Statistically, it is overwhelmingly more likely that he's an accountant.
But System 1 doesn't care about statistics. System 1 cares about a good story. And let's face it, the pickle maker story is just better.
So our intern is trying its best, but it's constantly making these little errors. And we can't fire it. We'd be totally lost. The real key is knowing when its gut feelings are leading you down the wrong path and knowing when it's time to wake up the manager for a second look. And that right there, that is the real challenge. System 2 is lazy. It uses a ton of mental energy. It absolutely will not get involved unless you force it to. It would much rather just sit on the sidelines and let the intern make a few mistakes than actually expend the effort to double-check the work. But when the stakes are high, you need the manager. It's the only part of your brain that can handle complex logic, that can check for actual evidence, and, maybe most importantly, it's the one that can tell the impulsive intern, no, we are not going to eat that entire pint of ice cream. It is your override switch. All right, so how do we actually use this in the real world? It's not about trying to use the lazy manager for everything. You'd be exhausted in an hour. It's about deploying it strategically. Here is a simple 3-step plan to do just that. First, learn to hear the alarm. Get good at recognizing when you're in a situation where your brain is likely to glitch, when you're making a big purchase or judging someone for the first time. Second, hit the brakes. Just pause. Don't act on that very first impulse. That tiny moment of hesitation is often all you need. And third, consciously call in the manager. Actively ask yourself, okay, hold on. What am I missing here? Is there an anchor messing with my judgment? Is this just a really good story, or do the facts actually back it up? That's how you override the glitch. So when it all comes down to it, your brain is this brilliant but kind of flawed machine. It's run by an eager, impulsive intern and a lazy but super smart manager. The real trick is just knowing who's talking. The goal isn't to get the intern to shut up. It's just to know when it's time to ask the boss to step in and check the math. And that's all for this one. Thanks for firing up your brilliant and hopefully not too lazy System 2 to hang out with us today.
And hey, if you want to keep learning all about how to outsmart your own brain, do us a favor and hit that like button, and be sure to follow our channel for more explainers just like this one. We'll see you next time.